the absence of words in Alan Becker's stick figure series, it's important to understand that every character, movement, melody, and motion become a significant storytelling mechanism because they make up for the lack of dialogue, exposition, and any kind of explicitly told details. One of the parts that I love about this series is that it's really creative with how it delivers its message because it has to be. Animation is a medium of multiple layers because it's both in your face and extremely subtle. So welcome to the hidden details of Alan Becker's Animator vs. Animation Episode 11, Victim. One of the more lore-packed episodes in the series, and the one that, surprisingly, has the most words on screen accidentally. Today, I'm going to be giving a bunch of cool details and implications about the Alan Becker universe that are too many to fit into a short. Yes, I'm a fan of random background details. Can you tell I used to play Destiny? So, let's begin. One of the fundamental story bits in the Victim episode is the actual cosmology of the stick figure universe, or more so the amount of questions that's being introduced. Specifically, what is the structure of a stick figure's creation and how they end up where they end up? We see that there are two types of spaces. First is the multifaceted web of the internet, which connects individual user PC cubes and the spheres of the websites. One of the creation methods for stick figures is that they're drawn and uploaded into Newgrounds, and by doing so, they spawn into the second part of the internet, which is the Stick City, or the Outer Net as the fans have lovingly called it. We learn that the personality, intent, and description of the stick figure upon its creation are essential to the kind of person they become in the Outer Net. But here's something very important. Newgrounds isn't the only way that a stick figure can be quote-unquote sentient. Victim's story, and actually all of the other stick figures that Alan created, prove that some stick figures can simply exist inside their own isolated space without actually being connected to the Outer Net. This is the case for stick figures like the Second Coming, the Chosen One, and the Dark Lord, and even stick figures that exist in their original upload point, like the Color Gang. We also learned that their spawn point is essentially to the website inside of the internet rather than the Outer Net. On one hand, this is why stick figures like Mitzi and Agent were brought back to the Newgrounds when their source animations were destroyed. On the other hand, this is why the Color Gang, when deleted, were sent back to their website, because their original source materials weren't tampered with. The more that I look at this series, the more that I find it very important to think of the stick figures with the logic of datasets. They're not humans, they're programs, which makes a lot of themes and attacks of the characters make sense. This also begs the question, what kind of resurrection did the Second Coming do in the showdown, and would it actually work with someone like Mitzi, whose original source material was destroyed? Besides the mumbo-jumbo of it being life magic, the Color Gang's resurrection against the Dark Lord is just an extension of the process of being re-uploaded. The data was corrupted, the Second Coming brought them back to the Outer Net by restoring that data. The core difference is the method of death, which is something that will have to be defined in the future. How important is the source material created by the artist to the stick figure's ability to come back? Moving on, though, is the other important implication in Victim, that it was Victim's actions that caused the connections between the Outer Net and the Internet. The Outer Net and the Internet are separated by a black grid-like structure which was broken upon Victim breaking the barrier. When the light illuminates to the other side, we do see that it's drawn like an actual planet. This breach created a bunch of external portals that began connecting the Outer Net to the individual planets or IPs inside the Internet. We see the significance of this in Victim's wall. We see that patches of the sky are being referred to as sky tiles, astronomical breakthrough, highlights for Sky Conference about discovery of sky tiles. How do sky tiles affect our understanding of weather? Microscopic examinations of green life particles, and something that I genuinely cannot make out. This might mean that originally, the movement between worlds is actually much rarer than it's made out in the series. According to this image, in-universe scientists are looking into the cosmogony of the world, and they believe that their world is a dome. I also find it mildly interesting that there's a "Are we being watched?" sign, because yes, you are. The existence of YouTube and the knowledge of individuals of YouTube is proof that the stick figures are in fact getting watched. But unless you've already been exposed to the concept as a stick figure, the insinuation is rather daunting. There is another species altogether that knows your flow of time, past and future, without any regard for your present. It's also important to note that Victim is an outlier in the regards that he knows his creator. Most of the creations in Newgrounds have never met the person that drew them. Unfortunately for Victim, his creator was not benevolent. People were also relatively shocked when Victim started doing painter tool mechanics. This actually puts into perspective how rare it is for someone like Purple, a native of Newgrounds, to be able to go back and forth between worlds. In the context of the average stick figure, Purple is essentially an astronaut. Even the existence of Minecraft's interplanar travel was rightfully revolutionary at the time. So my guess is that stick figure creation has multiple types. Uploaded stick figures were sent straight to the outer net, and if they die, they're sent back to the Newgrounds because that's where their source file is. Natively uploaded sticks are brought to life by the phenomenon known as the green life particles. Additionally, there's a good chance that gaming elements affect how the data of the stick figures are interpreted. This would be a good basis to explain how green respond in PvP, but the implications of Minecraft hardcore mode means that respawn is not possible. We also see this happen to the Chosen One in real time. The next one are stick figures that can be drawn to life unintentionally and are not uploaded to any kind of database. This is why Victim has to be manually redrawn over and over again. This also implies that drawn stick figures like the Chosen One, the Dark Lord, and the Second Coming are dead until redrawn, or they require external assistance to come back. The implication of these distinctions is that the stick figures who are created outside of the city have more knowledge of themselves being programs and have adjusted to this reality of the universe. Honestly, if this wasn't a stick figure animation, the storytelling of this kind of universe where a god essentially sees and controls your concept of past, present, space, time, and existence is rather eldritch if you really think about it. Moving on to the rocket core details, specifically how I like that Victim's growth, despite not having the most amount of screen time, is still presented. And this is through the smaller background details over the years showcasing how his research got to where it was. And upon Mitzi's death, Victim not only began researching about the tools we see in the future, but also the fundamental universal logic. He researches the origins of stick figures, and we see him studying the name bar and the rename features. Then, we see the prototypes of the gun and the different tools that will be used by Agent. In the flashbacks, we do know that Agent only had access to the lasso and the line tools. In one of the images, we see that Victim was researching what we saw in the internet, and we see the name Maiden Voyage. Maiden Voyage refers to the first journey of a ship, boat, or spacecraft. We also see that Victim was designing Mitzi's office on the side. Victim's blueprints for the memory scanner are also scattered around in the video, starting off here with the concept of just having a massive helmet smacked onto someone, then seeing the base version of it be used on Agent, then the leaner version weaponized against Yellow and the Chosen One. The event that killed Mitzi is known in their media as one of three names: decimation, disappearance, or the disintegration. The fall of Rocket Core in the background is also highlighted when Victim was passing through his wall of newspaper clippings, with shareholders immediately selling upon Mitzi's death. As a corporation, Rocket Core formally has Mitzi as the CEO, with Victim as the co-founder. My guess is that all of the actual running of the business side, such as marketing, presentations, financial, and even logistics and supply chains, are headed by Mitzi, while Victim took on the back-end work like product engineering and management. However, when Mitzi died and the news began spreading, Victim became elusive and refused to comment on the situation for possibly years, to the point that Rocket Core shares began dropping significantly and workers are generally quitting. The guy in the picture might be a reference to this guy. Another interesting note about this universe is that the gray guy had to literally be cloned in a laboratory rather than be drawn. And we do know that Rocket Core had a staff shortage because no one wanted to work for them anymore. This image puts into question the use of painter tools and the literal life generation of the Allen sticks. Even with the painter tools, Victim can't just create extra stick figures the same way that Second Coming can. What you need aren't the tools, but the intent of creation, which is animation. However, what the Second Coming can do is also not the same as true sentience, but rather its semblance and mimicry, which is why to clone another stick figure would require more methods that are scientific in nature rather than magical. Second, the sentience of these clones specifically are debatable, but their personality is pretty consistent. They're meant to be a lovable product, but competent, as they were marketed as part of the family and part of the team, not just a clone. Now, why did I go through all of this? Well, I have a theory. Victim's new hacker powers might be what is needed to actually bring back Mitzi's source file, not the second comings. The green life particles are responsible for the instance of the animation. This is what forms the body independent of the creator's source material and intervention. Insert autonomy and sentience here. But that's only one part of it. Hackers' powers are distinctly the use of binary, which is the code used for the actual source files. The green life particles are only useful if the source material is still intact, which would actually be really fascinating in the upcoming episodes. I'm locking that guess in. It's not the second coming that will bring back Mitzi, it's Hacker. I'm Mushi, and that has been random details about Alan Becker's universe that you may or may not have found in the episode Victim.